Welcome to the Collide Kids podcast, hosted by Christen Clark. This is a show for kids and families. You are going to meet new people and have fun while you listen. Let's do it!
Hey y'all, welcome to the Collide Kids podcast. I'm your host, Christen Clark. The Collide Kids podcast is a show for kids and families where we learn together how life and faith collide. I am so glad that you're listening today. Thank you so much for being here and checking out this podcast, especially if you're new. I just want to say, I hope you really enjoy it and you keep coming back for more. Hey, be sure to listen to the end of every episode. That's where we have the kids only segment where kids just like you get to be on the podcast. Well, I just want to remind you that if you're ever listening to a podcast episode like this one, and someone comes to mind that you think, I think my friend would really enjoy listening to this, would you share it with them? I think that would be such a neat way for you to show that you're thinking of someone else and also helps more people find out about the show. And I think you guys are really going to enjoy sharing this episode because if you're a music fan, just like last week we talked about preschool music with Miss Patty Cake, well, now we're going to be meeting a singer-songwriter from Nashville, and I can't wait for you guys to hear her story. Her name is Natalie Layne. She is a songwriter and recording artist from Colorado Springs who now lives in Nashville, Tennessee. Growing up, Natalie focused on classical piano and led worship regularly at her church. At the age of 10, she began to write and record her own songs and has never stopped. The music led to opening concerts for Jeremy Camp, Chris Tomlin, and We the Kingdom, and sharing stages with people like Stephen Curtis Chapman, Mandisa, and Crowder. She enjoys writing and producing her own music, and she also leads worship at her local church. I think you guys are really going to enjoy this conversation with my friend Natalie Layne. Excited to have you on the Collide Kids podcast today.
I'm so excited to be here. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, this is so cool. I met you online, just a big fan of your work. So I definitely wanted to have you on the show. Will you share just a little bit about who you are and what you do?
Totally. Yeah. So my name is Natalie Layne. I am a full-time musician and songwriter. I write my own songs and I get to sing them, and they're songs about Jesus, and it's just a blast to get to make music all the time. So that's what I do these days.
That's very cool. And I love the idea of being able to sing your own songs. Like you're really coming up with your own stuff and putting it out there, huh?
Yeah, it's so fun. And actually I started writing my own songs when I was a kid. And so it's been fun to watch it develop over the years, and still get to sing my own songs today.
Yeah, that's really cool. Do you still sing some of the songs that you wrote when you were a little kid?
I do. I sing definitely some of the songs that I wrote in high school.
Okay.
But I wrote my first song when I was 10, and I think you never forget your first song, So I wrote it straight from scripture, and so it still pops up in my head sometimes.
Well, that's cool.
Sure.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I can't wait to talk to you about this stuff, but before we do that, because this is a podcast for kids, I always make my guests share a joke or two. So do you have something you want to share with us?
I love jokes so much. Probably have endless jokes. I can never think of one on the spot, but I have a list. So my favorite today is, what do you call a hen that counts her eggs?
What do you call a hen that counts her eggs?
Yeah.
I don't know.
A mathemachicken.
A mathemachicken.
A mathemachicken.
I love that. That's good. That's good. Yes, I'm a big fan of corny jokes and dad jokes and all that stuff.
So good.
Yeah, it's so fun. So
I don't
even know if the kids that are listening really like this part, but I do.
It's funny to me, so
yeah,
I don't know.
That's right.
Maybe they'll just laugh at us laughing.
That's right.
It's fine.
They're so goofy. Anyway,
yeah.
Well, so this is really cool. You are a musician. You're a singer, songwriter. So tell me a little bit about how you got started. You said you started writing when you were 10. So how did that progress to where you are now?
Yeah. So it was super fun growing up because my parents are both musicians. And so my mom sings and my dad plays bass and trombone. And so I kind of always just grew up with music around the house, and we had a little keyboard, and so I would plunk out melodies on the keyboard even when I was 3 and 4 years old.
Wow.
I just loved the sounds I could make and the different melodies I could kind of figure out. And it was fun. It was just like discovering different sounds and playing. And um, so my grandma was my first piano teacher. She actually had a piano studio of like 30 students for years and years. And then she retired and she took me on as her only student. I said, that's really nice that
Yeah.
you would come out of retirement for me. Um, and so she taught me how to read music and how to play some songs by ear, and figure them out myself. So actually, when I wrote my first song, that was an assignment for one of my piano lessons.
Oh.
She said, why don't you just like pick one of the Psalms and take those as the words and then write the music for and like the melody and stuff. So I was like, I could probably do that, right? I remember being scared. Like
Yeah.
I didn't know if I could do it, but kind of sat down at the piano and just used the words from the psalm and wrote the music underneath it. And I was like, wow, this is really fun. And maybe I think I'm kind of good at this. So then I kept doing that, like just words straight from the Bible and making my own melodies. And so that's how I really got started with songwriting. And kind of as that progressed, I just like wrote a lot of songs and tried a lot of different things and started adding my own words that kind of would go with the scripture. And then now a lot of what I write is my own words with scripture brought in still. And so it's been fun to kind of watch it develop, but it all comes from straight from the Bible because, I mean, that's the best truth that we have, right? So,
Right.
like, what better to sing about than that, at least as a starting place? And then, you know, you can add kind of your own life experience and what God's done
Yeah.
into that. So that's what I still do now.
That's very cool. What was the first psalm that you wrote the music to?
It was Psalm 46. So I will not fear, though all this stuff happens, I will not fear, you know? And so that was the name of the song.
I love that. And
Yeah.
I love the book of Psalms. I think one of the things I love about it is how honest David was and
Totally.
how, you know, he would be like, I hate those people. They're the worst. God, I want you to wipe them off the face of the earth. But I love
Yep.
you, Lord, and I'm going to follow you. And like you get this
Right.
progression of prayer and emotions at the same time. I just love it.
Yeah.
I love how honest he was with God.
I did too. I love that it was kind of everything at once too. It was like, God, I'm angry and I'm sad. And also, I believe that you're good. Like it was like multiple things at the same time. I think, you know, we can often feel a lot of feelings at the same time.
Right.
And it kind of gives us permission to do that. So I love the Psalms.
We'll be right back after this. You know, raising kids in the digital age isn't easy, but Bark Technology makes products that help parents keep their kids safe online and in real life. They have an app, a phone, and a home device that lets families set parental controls on their internet-connected devices. I love the app because it helps us manage screen time and blocks websites and apps we want our kids to avoid. It also sends alerts and gives us the ability to monitor texts and social media and even track your child's location. Visit bark.us to learn more about how you can keep your kids safe online. Use the code COLLIDEKIDS to get 15% off your subscription of the Bark app. Yeah, and God can handle our emotions, right? He can handle all
Right.
of that at the same time. So it's
Right.
okay with God if you come angry or sad or upset. You can
Totally.
still do that and he still hears you.
Yeah, it's been amazing to me that actually, like, God feels those things too. Like, God gets sad about stuff that isn't right, you know? God gets angry about stuff that isn't right. And God is joyful too. And God, you know, He feels all those things too. So I think that also lets us be like, no, like, this is just part of us is to feel these things. And so I think that's a cool thing about God.
Yeah, that's awesome. So you used to live in Colorado and now you
Yes.
live in Nashville, Tennessee. So tell us about that. What was that like moving to another state?
Oof. It was hard at first because I love my home in Colorado. I grew up really close to the mountains. And so we would go skiing and, you know, there was snow all the time. And so I love my home a lot. And all my family is there. So Nashville is 1,000 miles away from home.
Wow.
And I was like, can't really just get home to my mom if I needed mom or anything.
Yep.
And so I moved here to go to college and study music, and I knew that that was what God was calling me to do. And so that's why I was able to do it, because I felt God really calling me to this. But I came out here, and it was hard to make friends in a new place. It was hard to find a church that I really loved. It was, all that was hard. But I think kind of through that, when you're kind of coming out of everything you've ever known and into a whole new thing, like something really amazing happens when you have nothing else, but you have God. Like he kind of becomes your best friend,
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm super thankful for that whole time because, I mean, God and I just became friends, and like he's who I would talk to, and now that I am more established here, like we've kept that. And so even though it was hard, I can see the good parts of it and the good that's come out of it in my relationship with him. So yeah, hard and good,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I get that. That's
Yep.
good.
Yep.
And I love one of the things you said. You said that was something that God was leading you to do. And so because of that, it kind of made the decision easier because you knew this is what God wanted you to do. How did you know that? How did you know that God was leading you or speaking to you and telling you to do this?
Yeah. I think it was a couple things. I think the first thing is just that I love music so much. It's just something that I love to do, my favorite thing to do. And also like I practiced a lot. I got really good at it. People around me were saying, you could really do this as a career, So I think there was something inside me that was like, no, this is what I need to do. And then also the people around me were really encouraging. And so I think a mix of all those things. But then like, in kind of junior high and high school, I really started hearing the voice of the Lord and kind of tuning into what he was saying. And there were several places I was thinking about going to college and just felt him really say that Nashville would be the right place. And I had no idea at the time that Nashville is the place where Christian music comes from. Like everybody that writes Christian music pretty much is here. And I had no idea when he moved me here. And now I totally see that I need to be here to do this thing. And so it's cool how he knows more than I do.
Yes, so true.
Yeah.
And I think that's one thing too. I've had moments where I felt like God was leading me to do something very specific.
Mm-hmm.
And whenever I would go through that, I would always pray, okay, God, if this is you speaking to me and sharing this with me, then will you tell me again? Like, will you show me in another way? Or will you remind me later? So I know that it's not just me making it up in my head, but
yeah.
keep putting that in front of me. And he does. He's so faithful to keep putting those things in front of us so that we'll follow him and to do the thing we're supposed to do.
I think he loves to do that. Totally.
Yeah.
He loves
Absolutely.
to confirm what he said, for sure.
Yeah. And one thing I'm learning about, I've been kind of going through since Christmas, is the story of Mary and how God called her to be the mother of his son. He was giving those huge tasks. And then she kind of had nothing to go on except for that one moment that God spoke to her.
Yeah.
And it said a couple of times through the story of the birth of Jesus that Mary would ponder these things in her heart.
Yeah.
And so I think that was those moments where she had to reflect back to what the angel said to her or what the shepherds said when they came to the stable. She was like, okay, God already told me this. This is just God confirming again that this is what I'm supposed to do. And so I don't know, I've been encouraged by thinking about that God is really good and really faithful and keeping us, helping us to ponder those things and to be reminded of those things.
Man, that's such a good example. Because, like the first time she heard about her calling to carry the Son of God was from an angel, right? And then, like, she had to really kind of stick to her guns there. She had to really do that. But then I think it's so cool that later God brought people alongside to encourage her in that. Like, God gave Joseph a dream that said, this is right. You're supposed to be with Mary and raise the Son of God. And then even later, Mary's cousin Elizabeth has John, and she's encouraged by Elizabeth. And so I just think it's cool that God puts people in our lives, wherever they might come from, to encourage us along what he usually has already told us to do. And so that's cool that it comes from lots of different ways.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Because we need that.
We need it
We
so
need
bad.
we need encouragement, right?
Yes.
So it's good to have that.
Yes.
So tell me what it is you love about being a singer-songwriter.
I love so many things. I mean, it's fun to think back to like, this is what I loved when I was a kid, and I'm doing it still. And, just I love to sing and play the piano, and I love music so much because I think it connects people, and it's my favorite way to worship the Lord,
Mm-hmm.
And also, I mean, I just think it's really amazing all the different pieces of kind of what I get to do. Like I write the songs and I record the songs, and then I get to go and play the songs. I get to perform them and meet the people who are listening to them and see that, man, it's really crazy how you can write a song like in your room or whatever, and then
Mm-hmm.
maybe it could help somebody later on their own journey,
Right.
totally separate from your journey, but that like God uses a song to bring those together. I just think it's so cool that he can do that. Like, it's kind of miraculous. It blows my mind.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's probably my favorite part of what I do, is just that, somehow totally not on my own strength or my own will, like God takes these songs and helps somebody else, and encourages somebody else, and hopefully brings them joy. That's like the whole thing. I want to make happy songs that encourage people. So that's my favorite part. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's what I love about your music. I love the way you play the piano too. It's very joyful.
Thank you.
And I love your music because it's upbeat and it's exciting just about and you can tell it's something that you're singing from a place that you've been before.
Yeah.
You're not just making it up. You've actually experienced the goodness of God and the joy and the
Totally.
things that God's done for your life. What are some of your favorite songs that you've written that, you love to perform?
Ooh, one of my very favorites is called Steady. And it's just about the faithfulness and steadiness of God when it feels like everything is not steady. So that's one of my favorites. I have a song called Better Than It's Ever Been that just talks about how good life with Jesus is. And I write a lot of songs about that. My song Love Me Back to Life is also about this, of like, there was a time when I didn't really know Jesus like that, and I kind of had to make a decision for myself, like, no, I'm gonna believe this, and he really showed up and met me, and it was the only way I could explain it was that I was like, I was seeing the world in black and white, and all of a sudden I could see it in color because of God. And so I write a lot about that, and I love singing the songs that kind of tell my story like that. So Love Me Back to Life is one of those too, and it's super fun and funky. Yeah.
Yeah, that one's on my workout playlist.
No way.
So I'm like, back to life, because after a workout you feel kind of dead.
Yep.
So you're like, speaking life over yourself as you're exercising is a good thing.
Man, I love that.
So how do you come up with the lyrics? Like, I know you said you use the Psalms to kind of get you started, but what are some ways that you come up with lyrics and songs, things like that?
Yeah, I think the best way to come up with lyrics is to first listen. So I'm always listening to, whether it's the Bible or a book I'm reading or something like that, or whether it's just like talking to friends, or I don't know, just out in everyday, like listening to people and their stories. And there'll be like little snippets that are so cool that people say. I was writing a song with my friend the other day, and he had just heard someone say, like, you don't really get to God if you're on a winning streak. And that was like kind of a cool thing. Like, you got to lose a few things before you can get to Jesus. And so we wrote a song based on that. And like, so I think inspiration can come from anywhere. But you start with the things that catch your ear, that are interesting to you, and then kind of let the ideas come from that. But I think, to be good musicians in general, we need to be good listeners first. And to be good songwriters, we need to be good listeners. So that's my favorite. That's the best way I can explain it.
Yeah, that's so good. I love that. Do you come up with the melody first and then the lyrics, or the lyrics come first for you?
It depends. It's different every time, which kind of makes it fun. I'm doing a lot lately where we'll make like we'll do the chords first and then we'll add kind of melody and lyric together. Um, but sometimes it's like I have a lyric that I want to build the rest of the song around, or I have a title of the song. I know it's going to be called that, but I want to build
Hmm.
the rest of the song around it. So it kind of happens differently every time, and that's part of the fun. It keeps it kind of fresh, you know?
That's
Yeah.
cool. So tell us about what you're working on right now. You're writing songs with different people. Do you have anything coming up or coming out
Yes, I'm
soon?
so excited. Yeah, I've been writing songs every day for the last like 9 months or so. Every
Every
day,
day?
5 days a
Wow.
week. So it's like a full-time job. But it's been so fun, and I've just been exploring lots of different sounds, and so we're finally ready. We're like producing the songs right now, and um, songs will be out in the summer and fall. So I'm really excited for what's coming.
That's cool. That's exciting for us
It's
to look
gonna be
out for your
awesome.
stuff coming
Yeah.
up soon. Yeah. Now, do you write for other people? Like, do you do music for other people?
Sometimes I do. Yeah. I've been in kind of a season where I'm really writing for my own project. Once my project's done, then I'll write more for other people too. But there's so many awesome artists in Nashville that I love to write songs with them and for them. Um, it's fun.
That's really cool. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
exciting. So I'm thinking about the kids that are listening right now. They love music. They love listening to stuff. They love, jamming out different instruments or whatever they're
Yeah.
good at. So how do they know if they want to do music as a
Mm.
career?
How do they know? Man,
Yeah.
I mean, here's the thing too. As a kid, like you just have fun with it. You know what I mean? Like just have the most fun you can with whatever interests you, you know? Um, but I think it's so cool to know that there are a lot of careers in music. Like there are a lot of different things you can do in music too. I think um, there are certain things we see, like we see people who are artists, you know, because we see them on the stage and then we see them on stage with musicians. So you could be just a musician. Um, then there have to be people that put the show on and help with the sound. And then there are producers who like put all the music together for people to listen to. Um, and then even in the music business, there are people who just write songs and they're just songwriters. And there are people who are managers. And like there are so many careers in music. And um, so I think it's cool to know that kids have options to like,
Hmm.
explore and go for. And um, but I think the main thing is just to have so much fun with it and let it be your worship to the Lord. And He really will lead you in the way that He wants you to go because God loves music too. And He wants people who can make really excellent and really worshipful music for Him. So I think it's just cool that there's so many options in that kind of field that kids can go into someday, maybe.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
so true. And when you're a kid, it's a great time to try a lot of
Hmm.
stuff. So try a lot of instruments, try a lot of options for, you can be the tech person or you could be the person up front. Like give it all a try and see what you
Totally.
love.
Totally. And you might like multiple
Yeah.
things, and that's fun too.
Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure. That's how I kind of got into music. I did a music ed degree when I
Cool.
was in college because I just loved music so much, and I did lots of instruments and I did lots of chorus and
Yeah.
singing on stage, and I just loved it. And so I did music education for school, and it really like pulls it out of you. Like, do you really want to do this? That's what they do in college. Like, are you serious? Like, are you serious
Yes.
about this? Because here goes. So.
Right. Right. Totally.
That's awesome. Well, this has been so fun, Natalie. I really appreciate you being on today and sharing your story and sharing about what you do. Before I let you go, I always
So
like to
fun.
ask my guests to share a memory from when they were a kid.
Yeah.
So, do you have a memory for us?
I do have a memory, and this is kind of a musical memory as well.
Okay.
Um, so I had a little keyboard when I was a toddler that my parents just put down at my level, and they didn't really say anything about it. They let me discover it. And so I like was plunking around, whatever. And I remember one day my granny asked me, she said, if you could pick what you want to do when you grow up, what would you pick? And I had never thought about it. And I thought for a second and I said, I think I would lead worship and write songs.
Oh,
And
wow.
it's such a fun memory to look back on because that's still what I'm doing today. And somehow it like got ingrained in me from a super young age that I want to lead worship and write songs. So I was
That's
super little. It
amazing.
was fun. Yeah.
You're like, you know what? I already know.
I
It's
think
just
it's
in my
probably this.
DNA.
I guess. I don't know.
That's amazing. That's so cool. Well, thank you so much for being here. How can our listeners find out more about your music and you?
Yeah. So you can listen to the music anywhere if you just search Natalie Layne with the Layne. And I'm going on tour this summer and fall. And so if there's probably a show near you, if you want to come, you can find out all the information for that at natalielanemusic.com.
Very cool. Who are you touring with?
I'm touring with several people. I'm kind of doing different weekends with different artists. So
Cool.
yeah, it's going to be fun.
Yeah, so they can find all that information on your website.
Yes.
Very cool. Yes. Well, this is awesome. Well, thank you so much, Natalie, for being on the show today. This was awesome talking to you.
This is so fun. Thanks, Christen.
Wasn't she so much fun to talk to? And I really do love her music. One of her songs is on my workout playlist. Love Me Back to Life is such a fun pick-me-up song when you're running on the treadmill or doing stuff. So highly recommend you download that song. I love today when she was talking about during that time when she was moving to Nashville and it was a new place, being far from home, having a hard time making new friends. She felt a little bit lonely, but she was still thankful for that time because she learned to lean on God as her best friend. Wow, I think that's so cool. And she reminded us that God knows more than we do, and He makes better plans than we do. So we can trust Him when we feel like God is asking us to do something hard, like moving or trying something new or making a tough decision. And I love when she was talking about songwriting. She said the miracle of songwriting is that God takes the songs that she writes in her room and then uses them to help so many other people and brings joy to others. I just love that that's what she is so passionate about. If you'd like to learn more about Natalie, you can go check out her website, natalielanemusic.com, and there you'll find information about her tour coming up this summer, as well as all the places you can find her music. Definitely go check that out. Well, now it's time for the kids only segment. This is the part of the show where you get to be on the podcast. So here is my friend Anya.
Hello, my name is Anya, and I'm 10. And my joke is, why did a girl have a crush on the fisherman? Because he was a good catch.
Because he was a good catch. I love that joke, Anya. Thank you so much for sharing that. And you know what? That makes me think I've never had a fisherman on my podcast. So, hey, if you guys know of a fisherman and you think he would be a good person for me to interview on my show, you need to pass along my information. Tell them to go to my website and send me an email. Okay. You guys can help me out find new people to be on the show. Or if you'd like to be on the podcast, just like Anya was for the kids only segment, and you have a great joke or you want to share your Bible verse or a song or a quote that you like, all you have to do is head over to my website, collidekidspodcast.com, and click the tab at the top that says Kids Only, or you can find information about how to send it to me through my social media as well. I'm on Facebook and Instagram at the Collide Kids Pod. Hey, if you'd like to support the podcast, I would really appreciate your support, and there's a few ways you can do that. First, be sure to subscribe to this podcast and follow this podcast on social media, and leave a rating and a review on your podcast app. That's so helpful, and I love reading those. You can also share this episode with friends and family and tell them why you like to listen. Or you can go to my website and click the tab that says support. And anytime you think about it, I always appreciate your prayer support as well. Well, I hope you guys have an amazing week. And in case no one has told you today, I would love to be the first to remind you that God loves you so much. Thanks for listening.
You don't have to go very far looking for bad news because somehow it just finds you. So finding peace in the chaos can be really difficult, but it doesn't have to be because the River mobile app exists. The River is a Christian music radio station dedicated to playing music to help you get through life's toughest moments or life's happiest moments and everywhere in between. And all from artists who love Jesus and are real people just like you. Listening is easy. You can download it wherever you get apps from. Just search 1049 The River or listen online at riverradio.com. And know that The River is proud to partner with the Collide Kids podcast.